What is up? Welcome back to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin mining stocks as well as some technical analysis. Since the last time we've talked about these in a long form video, you can see Riot has leapfrogged Cores once again. It looked like Cores even got down as low as number 4. So we'll get into all that in the charts, taking a look at fear and greed, still high in greed on the border of extreme greed. And if we see stocks continuing into new all-time highs or Bitcoin continuing to push into new all-time highs, we'll see extreme greed return once again. So really hanging up there at the high greed area around 75. Now, in yesterday's video, we talked about seasonality a bit, so subscribe to hear more about that. But waiting to see what July has in store for us. Looks like it can be positive. However, keep in mind, the two negative months on average are August and September. September especially. So if we see some sideways price action, a little bit of chop until early October, mid-October, just know that is normal. And if we are in another one of those 4-year cycles, October through November or through December, it tends to be the time where things really take off. And as we take a look at this, remember we've looked at the charts a lot and shown that as we get towards alt season, altcoins tend to top or get a rotation after the Bitcoin top, but mining stocks overall tend to top with Bitcoin. So if all of a sudden we see Bitcoin, these mining stocks going parabolic, that could mean that the top for Bitcoin is coming close. And in yesterday's video, we talked about other macro charts and indicators. So again, subscribe to hear more about that. I do stock videos, other altcoin videos as well. We'll take a quick look at Bitcoin and then go through some of the various miners. Bitcoin, we have this high to low Fibonacci golden ratio indicator drawn out, and this 120.4 area is kind of a ceiling. So once we start getting daily candles closing above that, then I'll be taking a look at 134 at that 2618, and then a macro target would be 155K. So without any further ado, let's take a look at some of these various mining stocks. And the first one we're going to take a look at is Marathon Digital Holdings. And let's zoom way out and have a look here. You can see we have our fib drawn high to low, and Mara has a lot of support here. I actually kind of like this price as a potential dollar cost average area. All these different moving averages, 50, 100, 200, 20 even, the 0.5. I kind of like this area, not going to lie. So anywhere between 16 to where it is right now, I think is decent dollar cost average potential. Also, it's right in the middle, even under the middle value of this overall channel. Once we see Mara getting to this 618, the golden pocket area, it's 618 to the 65, which is probably around 26 and a half. It also runs into the upper part of the channel. Once it breaks out of that channel, then it's really go time. So I still like Mara here for this price. Let's take a look at a couple other indicators and perspectives. First, let's zoom in on the daily, and you can see maybe it's putting in a floor there, probably some moving averages, but I wanted to see what it looks like under the MACD, the stochastic RSI. The daily's getting ready to reset. The weekly, looking like it may show some weakness and come down a little bit. So something to keep in mind is that if these come down, how much further is it going to go down? I really like that 0.5 area. And again, we're not too far from that, so I'm not too concerned. And we also talked about this. Well, you can see the MACD on the monthly hasn't even flipped positive yet, and the stochastic only starting to flip positive. So I do like the potential overall for Mara as far as this is concerned. But yeah, I'd say daily, monthly, good, weekly, not the greatest. And I won't show those indicators for the rest of these charts because a lot of them tend to be the same, but definitely something that you keep an eye on. So yeah, Mara, not minding the value whatsoever. And let's see, we have Riot blockchain, $5 billion, was in the number 3 spot Underneath cores, let's take a look at Riot here. See if we have deals overall. Now, Riot, dang, I haven't taken a look at this in a hot minute, and Riot broke out of that descending channel. That is huge. That is big time. Let's take a look at this on the weekly. Yeah, the channel, the 200, everything could come down, retest support at around 1220. But this thing is starting to take off now. It has struggled with the zero point 0.5 area in the past. So we'll see what happens there, whether it comes up to the 0.5, comes back down, and then shoots through. But breaking out of this descending channel, I think, is a very good thing. I would take a look for resistance, really more so at the 786 at around 40. I know this seems crazy, but if that'd be around a 3x from right now. And taking a look, I bet the MACD is looking good for this one. Oh, yeah, MACD looking very good. Let's go to the monthly. What's the monthly showing us? The monthly showing us that it's just flipping positive as well. So, however, when you see the monthly here, you will note that we only have a wick above that channel, so it's still technically FACO territory in that macro scale. However, I'm not really buying into that too much. On the weekly, the different time frames I like, the weekly, the daily, the monthly, on the weekly and the daily, that is showing a big move. And we've been talking about this one for a while, saying that if you got Riot anywhere under $7, that's a good deal. And if you were to DCA or get in at that level, you've already 2x your money. So Riot bags are definitely doing good right now. Next, we'll get into Core Scientific. Curious to see what this one's done since we've last talked about it. And you can see right there. So Core's had this big move up. We had these descending trend lines, had a big move up, got close to its former all-time high, and then all of a sudden just rug pulled. And let's take a look at this move. It's about a 31% move down. That must have been brutal for all the Core's holders who were so happy with that. It's also just yoink, have a 31% move. Sorry for your losses if you're a Core's person. I'm not a Core's person. We've talked about that. We've taken a look at the balance sheet. And, last time what we're taking a look at Hive, Core's was one where the assets liabilities, it's not to say that any crypto can't do great on its way to the cycle top because crypto is a very ironic space. However, this is one I would not want to hold in negative market conditions because it is going to struggle more. If an asset has a bad balance sheet, you do not want to be holding on to that garbage during bad times or recessionary times. So anyways, we have cores coming down probably to the 6.5. Let's add that in. We've talked about it a couple times this video. Let's add in the golden pocket 0.65. We'll take a look there. Came right down to it. Come back up. We'll take a look at the moving averages again. It also came right back down to, surprise, surprise, that 50-day moving average. So maybe you can find some support here. Golden pocket, we also have that trend line. So if you like cores, anywhere between this high $11 mark and the 50 there at around $12.89, want to take a stab at it, be my guest. But yeah, that's after anything moves up. We've talked about this as a concept as well. After anything moves up really big, really fast, it can be prone to revert back to the mean. And when I say the mean, I'm looking at some of these moving averages, especially the 20 and the 50. I'm not surprised when things go very parabolic, very quick, then all of a sudden it comes back down to earth. So always keep that in mind. If you were getting in at chords there at around $7 and you 3x to your money, sometimes it's okay to take a little bit of profits. But it depends what your time horizon and strategy is as well. IRAN, let's take a look at this one. IRAN, last time we talked about this one, it also had a pretty good looking chart. And yeah, coming back down as well. So IRAN, this one kind of reminds me of Ethereum a little bit. Ethereum had that big ascending trend line, ripped underneath, came back up above it. And then you can see IRAN ran into resistance around, which is that? Let's zoom way out here. Let's go to the weekly. We have to put our fibs back on the log. We were taking a look at price targets last time. And yeah, it ran into the resistance right at the 888. That's where it is here. Now the 786 was resistance before, so get into the 888 is nice. And on the weekly, you can see that the 20 moving average probably coming into that 786. We have that trend line, so I think there's good support here. Taking a look at the daily, 20-day doesn't seem to be holding up too well, but we have the trend line, 786 and the 50-day moving average. They're at around the high 13. So if you really like Iran, you're taking a look at some potential area to possibly spot buy. I'd be taking a look at there. What's funny is when I do my live streams, people often ask questions about assets that already ran. And I want to tell you guys, be clear, that usually that's the time to sell. If people are asking about it, it's already ran, two, 300, 1,000%. It's not the time to be buying. You want to buy where there's value and be patient. So use your greed as or your FOMO as an indicator. If you can't wait to get in, that might be a sign that it's not the best long-term play. But again, depends what your strategy is. Let's go over to CleanSpark. Let's see, LSK. We'll take a look at a couple miners we haven't taken a look at in a while. CleanSpark reached the upper end of that channel almost perfectly, and that got rejected coming back down. So we have $11. We have all these supports in the moving average. $11 to 1040. The 20s barely holding on. So if it comes back down there, I'd be taking a look at some possible support there. You can see how the 200 was resistance a few times. So I'd not be surprised to see the 200 maybe hold up as support, and that's at around 1047. But yeah, if this one were to break out, I'd be taking a look at that 786, which has been resistance before, and then an 888. That could turn into a 3x real quick. All right, let's move on let's go to HUT. We have not taken a look at HUT in a while. Now, I saw a graphic on X, and it was showing the top stock companies that hold Bitcoin, or the stock companies with the most Bitcoin. And there was Tesla, there was MicroStrategy, Marathon Digital Holdings has the most Bitcoin out of all the mining stocks. Of course, Riot was up there. But then, to my surprise, HUT was on the list. So I'm not sure if that list is current. I want to find the most current information. And if I find a good graphic, I'll put it in the next video. But CleanSpark and HUT was on there. And I was kind of surprised to see HUT. Now, HUT, there is a lot of FUD. I think it was back here where they had some sort of lawsuit or something. But you see, just doing fine ever since. And so HUT just kind of range bound chopping. Also looks like it's in a channel here. You can see how long it's been since we've taken a look at this one. So it is above its moving averages and the 50. Kind of reminds me of Mara a little bit in that respect. So getting back down to the high $17 mark wouldn't be the worst. But let's draw a channel here. Anytime I see a channel, I like to draw it. I think it gives good perspective. So kind of close to a channel. What do we got here? Just trying to make as much sense as possible. Yeah, I think we'll stay with that. So anyways, still in this ascending channel, kind of like Terrawolf, we'll get to that in a bit, but probably as a weekly sell signal. So I'd be patient. Yeah, that's a weekly sell signal. If you like HUT, the $17 to $16 area could be a potential spot buy dollar cost average opportunity. Let's go to Wolf and then Cypher, because we're just talking about Wolf and that chart reminded me of it. So Wolf ascending channel as well, some decent moves up. Now, can it hold the 0.5? Can it hold the 0.5? The 200, that remains to be seen. If it doesn't, you can't help but wonder, do we have sort of a massive head and shoulders here? I don't like to put too much stock in all the shapes and stuff, but, we do have this left shoulder head, maybe even a right shoulder. But also it's moved up very strong, very quick. It has the lower end of the channel down here. So, we'll see. But yeah, if you were getting into the lower end of the channel, you've 2x your money in a very short period of time. And we want to see, can this retain strength? Wolf's one of those I think can do well, just returning to its former all-time high. It could be almost an 8x from here, 7, 8x. So one to keep an eye on when we get to the end of the crypto cycle. But yeah, I would not be surprised to see some little short-term volatility for Wolf. We'll go to Cipher Mining. Cipher, my God, big move, challenging its resistance it's had a couple times before at the 786. Now we got to see, is it going to be able to break through that resistance, 786, and even get back to its former all-time highs? So we've been talking about this one for a while, $2 down here. Former all-time highs around $15. So that's a 7x right there, and can it go higher? And when we draw these macro fibs, take our fib off log, take a look at some of these price targets. Can it get the 1618 around $24? Do almost a 4x from here? Maybe we'll see. Keep in mind market cap. That would be around an $8 billion market cap. So always try to, in my opinion, try to be reasonable with your price predictions. I see a lot of people across the internet give ridiculous price predictions, and you got to ask yourself, does that market cap, does that price make sense, or is it too good to be true? You don't want to be left holding a bag while those people are using you as exit liquidity. So try to be reasonable, have your price targets picked out or your conditions picked out, how you would sell if Bitcoin was topping, and we are getting near the end of the market cycle, so you're not left bag holding for a while through something like this, because that can be very hard to sell in those situations. All right, we'll finish up with Bit Digital and Bit Farms. Let's see. I have to take a look at it again. Bit Digital, BTBT, BITF. All right. And we'll take a look at Hive too. That's been one we've been taking a look at. Bit Digital, you can see here, big red weekly candle, ran into resistance at the 0.5, 200 week moving average, come back down to this 253 area. So if you like that, it could be an area to watch for. But the 786 all the way up there at 14, 13, and then the former all-time high at 33. So could it get back to the former all-time high? Do a 10x from here? That's a gamble you're going to take. Let's actually run through. I wanted to take a look at one of these with you guys. And let's take a look at Bit Digital's balance sheet really quick. So Market Watch, shout out to them. You click financials and you click balance sheet. And one of the things I look at just right off the bat, assets, liabilities, 300 million, 500 million total assets, 55 million total current, 74 million. So already right there looks good. That's just scratching the surface. But if I ever see something very negative, I say the hell away. That's just scratching the surface. That research should be a bit more than that. Look at the positive and the negative articles that are out there on this company. Consider everything. The CEOs, what's it like as far as people running the business? Are people jumping ship every 6 months to a year? How much Bitcoin do they hold? Take a look at some of those factors. But Bit Digital right now had that strong move up, got rejected. So yeah, I could see some support here. Not the worst area to dollar cost average in. Might get more of a discount here at 260 or maybe even 230. Depends how patient you want to be. Let's say you have $100 you want to put into Bit Digital. Maybe you put in 30 here, 40 here, 30 there. Whatever your plan is. Not telling you what to do. All right, let's take a look at Bit Farms and then Hive, and we'll finish it off. Hope you all doing well. Bit Farms, as you can see, running into resistance there at the 382 and the 200-day moving average. It's also where the 50-week, and actually, let's say on the weekly. We talk about this a lot. If you are below the 50, the gold, orange, if you're below the 50-week moving average, you are bearish. And macro, high to low, if you're below the 382, you could still technically go lower. So getting above this area, very critical for it. Now, if you got lucky, got in at 80 cents, cool. If this one got back to its all-time high, around 10 bucks, that's almost a 10x, probably a 9x, something like that from here. But this could get rejected, could go lower. Again, you don't want to just buy the charts that are extreme value, because or discounts, I should say. Value is a positive term because there's no guarantee these things can go back up. I tell people every cycle there's a new batch of dog crap that just dies forever and it's not guaranteed to go back up. So keep that in the back of your minds. Yes, you could be getting a discount from where it is to the all-time highs, but it's at a discount for a reason. So, you want to be a futurist, if you will. Are the reasons sound? Are they solid? If not, then you can take that gamble. Hive, this is one we were taking a look at not too long ago. I want to say around 187 here, running into some resistance at the 50-week and the 236. So, kind of similar things I said about Bitfarms. Could come back down to this, mid low $1 area. But yeah, if any of these did well, yes, you're looking at great returns. If they got back to former all-time highs, you can see a 10x or more. But I'd say the risk goes higher for these lower market caps. And when the risk is higher, the reward can be bigger, but does not mean the reward has to happen. So, just something to keep in mind. If you're feeling safer with Amera, you might only get a 3 to a 5x at best or something, not guaranteeing that. But if you're looking for, 10x, 20x, something like that, it's not guaranteed. But yeah, that's what we look at with those lower market cap Bitcoin mining stocks. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. How are your mining stocks doing? Do you have any? Are you looking at getting in on any of these? Remember, mining stocks top with Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. If Bitcoin starts to break up to that 150 to 200K area, then I'm looking for a potential top. Mining stocks should do well during that time also. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.